Evening, everybody. MG here, coming at you with another video. Tonight is a little bit special. It's something that's very dear to my heart. And I think by doing this, which I never imagined I would put something like this out there for public consumption, but really thinking about all this, I realized that maybe me doing this video could really help some people out there, even if it was to only help one person that did a search and found this video. Um, Maybe it could save a life. Maybe it could turn a life around. Maybe it could, have that person share it with someone that they know who's deeply troubled or going through hell right now. And that's why I'm doing it. It's not like I want to put this out there for public consumption. It's not something that I'm like super proud of. I mean, removing alcohol from your life is a very good thing. That's something to be proud of. But like the shame and the ridicule you put yourself out there to kind of get with a subject matter like this in a public arena, um, it's asking for certain trolls or jerks out there in the internet and the interwebs to take a shit all over someone's heartfelt um, conversation about this topic. um, I quit drinking roughly about 7 years ago. For the first 3 years I never had like a single drop, like not a drop. And then after I was comfortable after those 3 years, I decided that I would allow myself to, have a glass of wine at Thanksgiving or a beer at a Christmas party, or even if I haven't seen my friends in a super long time, I'll go out and I'll have a couple of drinks with them. But never to get drunk or, inebriated or anything like that. It's just purely a social reward of just chilling with your friends or your family at a, somewhat special event, right? During the time that I quit drinking, from 7 years ago to present day, I've had a lot of people that have contacted me privately, right, and asked me questions about how I did it, why I did it, what had happened leading up to it, and those conversations obviously will remain private, but it just gave me the idea recently when I was thinking about stuff of how I could help other human beings that found my channel somehow. I decided I would do this. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I don't know if this is going to be well received or if people will ridicule it. Honestly, like I've told you guys, I don't really care. I'm willing to put myself out there. I'm willing to tell my story. And maybe that can, if it just helps one person, and it's worth it. So, alcoholism and abuse of alcohol. I don't want to talk about narcotics because I never really had a problem with any narcotics. It was always just booze. It was alcohol. That was my drug of choice. Um, let's talk about why I used it. Well, when I was younger, I wasn't as social or as outgoing as I got when I was, more mature as a human being into the college years, things of that nature. High school, I was social, but it was awkwardly social at times, and I used alcohol as a way to get through that barrier that I had around other people. So what am I trying to say? I would drink and then I would lose all inhibitions and I would act, and just I guess it was a way for me to just act naturally in a drunken way. But it just seemed that people enjoyed being around me more when I was drunk than when I was sober. And you pick up on those things. You don't have to be a genius to understand the dynamics of that. So in high school, I was abusing alcohol for sure with my friends, just because it opened me up and I was more social. And that was what was important to me. The people I ran with, the sports, the buddies, all of that. Those were the most important things in my life. It wasn't scholastics. It wasn't, education. It wasn't really anything else. It was all the social aspects that come from being in a school with other people your age, and trying to find yourself in the world, figure out who you are, what you want to do. Like, being a teenager. So when I got to college, the drinking got on a whole other level, right? I think that's more commonplace. I think that's pretty standard for some people. And it was kind of the same thing, not as much. I was definitely more outgoing, sober in college than I was in high school, but alcohol had become part of your life. Like, it's what you did, like no matter what events you plan or what ideas you had for extracurricular activities outside of school. It was at any social event. It was who's bringing what's there, is the booze, is the girls, all that good stuff. And it just became a complete staple in my life. And I started to definitely abuse it at that point. Um, After college, you try to figure out what you're going to do for a career, right? And in my case, I got into real estate and I started doing very well. You know, it was a good thing for me, right? I had started to make a little bit of money. It was something I was good at. It like my clients all loved me. I was very personable, but I was also, you know, once I checked out of work, I would run straight to the bars where my boys were and my girls, and we'd all just party all night long. When you're 25, you can rebound from a night boozing. Like, I would be out of commission for like 3 hours in the morning. Okay. And then after those 3 hours were up, like, you're ready to bounce around. You're running, headaches gone. You're ready to tackle the rest of your day. You're younger. Your body is more resilient. You can bounce back from the trauma you put it through the night before much better than you can once you get into your 30s and then into your 40s and 50s and so on and so forth. Um, but there's other things that come along with alcohol abuse, namely, once the social aspect wears off. So, like, what I mean by that is you have a couple beers with your friends, you start feeling good. Maybe you get, the desire to go out on the dance floor, cut some rug. I am a white boy that can dance. I have the ex-girlfriends to prove that. They will vouch for that, I think. And, you know, once you hit those first couple beers where you get that buzz, or first couple vodka sodas, that was my drink of choice. You kind of start pounding them, right? Getting to the point where you're out of control. Like, the things you say, you would never say when you're sober. The things you do, you would never do sober, because you know how stupid you look, or how inappropriate that is, or why you shouldn't do something like that in a certain setting with certain people around. And that was where the problems started arising, because it wasn't just to go out to get drunk anymore. It was to go out to get slaughtered, smashed, fallen down stupid. Like, there was no, hey, you know what? After number 5, I am really drunk right now. Maybe I should not have number 6, right? There was none of that. It was number 6, 7, and 8 actually went down faster than 3, 4, and 5 did, right? And you make a lot of mistakes when you're in that type of mindset, whether it's driving a vehicle, or relationship issues. Now, I never had any relationship issues with violence, right? Not with a woman. I got into plenty of fights with guys at the bar, and we don't need to go into that, other than to say it's really dumb and you get in trouble for that. You end up in a county jail a few times in life if you do things like that. But never violence with women. That was never a problem for me. I didn't. That's not me, and it wasn't me when I was drunk either. But I would say things that were really stupid and inappropriate. I got myself arrested a few times for fighting or just acting like an asshole. And after a while, these things start to add up. It's like a it's like a timeline, and each event adds up over time. And then there comes, at least for me, there was a certain point in my life, which I was 33 years old, where I looked at everything that I had done to this point, good, bad, in between, arbitrary stuff, whatever. I looked at everything my whole life. And I don't want to say I wasted, because I had so many wonderful times and I met so many wonderful people. There's a lot of my booze hound buddies that are going to be friends, my best friends for the rest of my life. Just because I quit drinking didn't mean I cut off all ties with everybody. That's another thing. You can't really do that, because then you become depressed. You can't put yourself in situations where you're going to, you know, violate your sobriety really easily, at least in this at the beginning, for sure. But you know, you look back and you see all the things you did and all the embarrassing things you did and all the stupid things you did, and you realize that you wasted a lot of really, what should have been really productive years of your life. And it's sad. It is depressing. But there is always the flip side, right? And it's never too late. So at 33, I made the decision that I was done. And I meant it. We had, there's a couple times before where, people, oh yeah, I'm quitting drinking after you're so hungover, you can barely get up off the couch the next morning. Uh, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when I was 33, after a couple more incidents, I said, this is it. I'm done. And I meant it. And I went cold turkey. I think I took like a month or two where I didn't even go near my friends, right? I just didn't want to even be around them because I didn't want the temptation. Now, I know that's kind of contradictory to what I said, but I'm talking about cutting off people for a lifetime. I did this for like 2 months just to make sure that I was serious and I wasn't going to put myself in a stupid situation which could break my willpower to give this shit up. So after those 2 months, I played a lot of softball. I played competitive softball. I played, anywhere from like co-ed rec leagues at the local park district defense, all the way to like men's tournament teams where we traveled all over the country. And I was an ex-baseball player, pretty solid, good young baseball player back in the day. Fucked that up with alcohol too. Awesome. And injuries, shoulder injuries. Where you put a kibosh on that, but that's a whole other story. So, I just said, this is it. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And I made sure that I put myself in situations, at least in the short term, right after I quit, where I couldn't make a bad decision. And I wanted to make sure that I was 100% sure about my decision to quit drinking. So after those first few months, and I had convinced myself that I was done. I gradually, when I'd go out and play ball with my friends, like I'd go see them, say hello, play in a game. But, they would all go to the bars afterwards, and I would say, no, I'm good. I'm heading home. Sorry, guys. I'd love to hang out with you tonight. But really, I just need to cruise home. Thanks for having me out tonight. And that's kind of how it went for the rest of that year. And, eventually I got to a point where I would go out. And if I, went to a tournament or something with my tournament team, I'd see those guys and, we'd go out and hang out. And, we'd just chill. I'd eat, and then they would all drink. Um, yeah, let's just put it like this. After you have taken yourself out of equation for a while, you, at least for me, I can only tell you from my personal experience, because I know that based on an individual, your experiences can be different. I was never a person that got like shakes or I couldn't sleep or eat or whatever. Like I wasn't like, you know, physically deteriorating because of the addiction. This for me was all mental. Um, the it was it was never really that hard for those first couple years, and I don't want to give anybody like the wrong impression here. Like quitting drinking is not an easy thing. I think most of us know that or have heard stories about it. But for me, once I had pulled myself out of those situational triggers, if you will, it was easier for me, I think, than a lot of people to be around my friends at a bar and just not drink. Eventually, over the years after quitting, I did hang out with them and drink. And there was a couple times when we were away on tournaments where, I'd party and have a good time and be drunk. But those were few and far between. Like once, twice, maybe 3 times in a year is when that would happen. And only when I was, in a safe situation with friends and it was a special event or a special situation that I felt like partying and celebrating with my boys. But I made sure that those were kept few and far between. And going back to how I dealt with it, like I got to a point where if I went out with people and saw them drinking, and I definitely was not, but if I saw them drinking after they would start to get inebriated, I'd want to leave because it's awkward for you, but it's also, you get to see sober how you used to act and interact when you were fucked up. And it's a turnoff. Sitting there sober in a bar and being around your half in the bag friends, it can be a turnoff. Like you kind of get disgusted. You're kind of like, wow. And I'm not judging them, right? Like I kind of tried to express that earlier. I'm not judging them. I'm just saying in that situation, it's a turnoff because you see how stupid and ignorant and ridiculous you act. And I was very fed up with that lifestyle. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to live like that anymore. And not only did, well, the biggest things that hurt me was, obviously I did stupid things that hurt me personally, but also did really dumb things that hurt people that were close to me. And, family, other friends, girlfriends, I hurt them. And in the moment when you're drunk, what is it? All you care about is your pleasure and you're selfish. You're selfish asshole or selfish son of a bitch. All you care about is you. It's you, your pleasure, your fun, your ideas, what you want. And in my life, whenever I've been totally focused on myself and my desires, my search for pleasure, my whatever made me feel good about me, whenever I focused on that in my life, I've been pretty freaking miserable. Like you're happy in the moment, but then, those nights where you lay down in your bed and you can't fall asleep and you're just, all the thoughts are going through your head, all the things you said and did, the actions, the events, all the dumb things you did. It's very depressing. And I was tired of being depressed. I was tired of feeling bad. I was tired of being ashamed of seeing videos, pictures of me out hammered and just looking like an imbecile, acting like an imbecile, talking like an imbecile, and some of the things that you say in those moments where you are acting like an imbecile, people will laugh it off, pretend like they don't care. But if you really hurt them, a lot of them, they hide the fact of how bad you hurt them. And alcoholics, like I said, are totally selfish, self-consumed assholes. And I wasn't going to I wasn't going to live the rest of my life like a selfish, self-consumed, babbling idiot, drunken idiot. I wasn't going to keep screwing up jobs. I wasn't going to keep screwing up relationships. I wasn't going to keep hurting people. And that was the ultimate decision made. That was what solidified everything for me. And I just said I was done. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that have similar, if not almost identical situations, but probably have similar thoughts and feelings that they're going through either in the past or right now. And, I'm doing this video for you guys, fist bumping, because you need some help too. And maybe you need the words of a stranger on the internet watching this video right now. Maybe that is what can help you, because it's not so personal with like someone that's close to you. You don't have any type of history with me. And my thoughts and my words over this camera right now can be a calming effect, or a way for you to think about different ways that you can alleviate or eradicate that selfish behavior or the negative, depressing thoughts that you have over this. And that's why I'm doing it. You are always able to contact me. You can put it in the comments. You can send me an email. And I will have a conversation with you about it. If you have questions about what I went through and how I beat it, I'll always be there for people that are going through the same shit. And, my life, let me just say this, let's bring this uplifting a little bit. I know this is a very depressing video, and I knew it was going to be like that doing this, but let's move it into a more positive direction. You can beat this. If I can do it, and I was a party animal, man, I was the dude, a whole bottle of V on the table, dancing, pulling my clothes off, acting like a total idiot with everybody laughing around me. Sitting at a bar top with, a crowd of people around me, all listening to my stories, all laughing, crying, just, that's the type of dude I was, right? But that was also an act too. It was Philly tree times, filthy. It was the guy that I projected. It wasn't the real me on the inside. It was just party animal Phil in his environment to get his short-term pleasure, just be an asshole. That you can beat this. If I can, you can do it. It's all up to you. It's your choice. You know, you can go to the psychologist and you can go to the court appointed classes. I've been through it all, right? And I'm not saying those aren't helpful, because they are. But ultimately, those are only tools and courses and instruction to try to get you to be able to self-reflect, see yourself properly in a mirror, see what your decisions and your actions, where they've led you and how they've harmed others. That's what they're trying to do. In order to actually quit, though, you have to be done with it. I'm done. You can't just have an all-night bender and you're like, oh, I feel like shit. Oh, I'm so sick today. I'm depressed. My body needs, you're so dehydrated, and your brain hurts and you're swollen and you're just like, oh, I'm quitting. I'm quitting out. That's not how it works, man. You have to actually be sober, in the right mind, sitting there going over your entire life and all the things you've done, all your actions, positive or negative. Said, all these good things that happened to me in my life, shit, I was pretty much sober in those, right? All these terrible, shitty things that set me back years, caused me so many problems with so many people. I was always drunk for those years. And I don't know about you, but that was pretty spot on for me. And I just decided I was done. Done. And there wasn't anyone or anything that was going to get in my fucking way to boot booze out of my life. And that's what I did. And it worked. Now, I'm not saying that my way of doing it is the only way to do it. But what I am saying is, from my experience, that's what fucking worked. And it can work for you too, possibly. Alcohol is a very poison. It's poison. It's a very dangerous drug because it's legal if you're the age of 21, and society and culture poo-poo it. You know, if you see somebody sitting on a train with a needle hanging out of their arm, passed out, overdosed, or whatever on heroin or something, like everybody like looks at that and goes, "Oh, that's really bad. Maybe we should call a hospital," or, you know, what an idiot. Like, this is a very dangerous situation. This person needs help. If you see another person on a train that's just got off or just got out of the Cubs game, threw up on himself, drunk as a monkey, mumbling, can't speak English, doesn't know where he's at, lost his group of friends, lost his pair of pants, maybe has one shoe on. Like, people just laugh at that and they're like, oh, this guy, well, he was at the Cubs game. No big deal. Hey, buddy, you need help? You want me to call you a cab? Like, it's not viewed in the same way as like other narcotics are, but alcohol is super dangerous. It is the most destructive drug in the history of Earth. How many families is it destroyed? How many careers is it destroyed? How many people got DUIs? How many people killed people on the roads? Drunk as a monkey. Yeah. It's a very, very bad drug. And it is a drug. Alcohol and nicotine are drugs, even though people don't think they are. They are. And alcohol is a slow killer, right? Starts 16, 17, 18, maybe some it's college. They have their first drink. Maybe they had their first drink with their parents when they were 9 or 8, like me. And my first beer, I think, when I was 8. But they didn't know about it. We were at a family party, and I snuck it out of the cooler, had my first beer. But it's a slow grind to destruction. It doesn't just happen all of a sudden. It's a slow progression of destruction for a human being over time. And boy, is it destructive. But it can be beaten. Never easy, Nothing in life is ever easy that's easy, or excuse me, nothing in life is ever worth doing that's easy. The fulfillment you get when you know you have control over your actions, whether or not to be a drunken idiot, go out every weekend partying, acting like an asshole. When you stop that in your life, the reward from that, I'll tell you, it's pretty amazing. And that was what sustained me through that process. Family, breeding. For me, it was reading. I'm a history, political fruitcake, right? I love this shit. I live it. I don't want to say 24/7, but 18/5. My Audible library is redonkulous. I love to read. And I substituted the partying and the boozing with information, self-education. And that played a big role. What I will tell you too is it helped with work. I went from, a person that maybe made it to work on time like 3-4 times a week, maybe, if I was lucky, to a person that was almost rarely ever late. I went from a person who would call out of work 10 times a year. 8 of those times were because I was hungover, to a person that didn't call out sick 1 time in 5 years. Not once. Even deathly ill, basically caught Ebola, throwing up, doing number 2. Still got in my car in negative 20-degree weather and drove to work. Got the store open, had to fall asleep on the table next to the fireplace until open to survive it, but I made it. Got shit done. Those are the things you can do when you're not a slave to the bottle. Those are the things you can expect for your life moving forward, like better relationships where you're not so selfish. You actually care about the other person's feelings. You're actually listening when the other person is talking, not just picking out what they're saying that benefits you or for planning for the future. You actually are listening to what they're saying, hearing them out, and can't wait to make something, create something, be with somebody that is a joint cohabitable experience between the two of you. That's personal, but also based on love and selflessness. Everyone still has their problems, but the way you look at things becomes different. How you perceive the world around you, how you perceive stimuli that goes into the equation that makes up your life. It all changes for the better when you get that shit out of your life. I mean, I'm not trying to say that you never can party again or have a good time with your friends, but if you can only tell yourself whether you got a problem. You may not want to admit that publicly, like what I'm doing right now. You may not want to admit that to people, but deep down if you got a problem or not. And it's up to you to decide whether or not you're going to work on that or just continue to live by the seat of your pants and see what happens. Just warning you, in most cases when you live like that, it don't end well. Doesn't end well at all. So I think this video is long enough, but I just wanted to do this for the people out there who are looking for a voice, or somebody that's been through the process or the beginning of the process that they're currently in of figuring out whether or not they want to give this shit up. I think maybe my story, as much as I'm kind of worried about putting this out here, if my story can help you, then it was worth it. And I'll always be here for anybody if they have questions related to this. I've been through it. I made it. Still alive. I'm happier now, even with Corona, restaurants closing down, losing your jobs. Like, I'm happier now as a person than I was when I was living the high life. I'm happier. Just a better person in general. Not a selfish, angry, comatose soul going through the motions. So I hope if you're watching and there's somebody that is going through this right now, I hope this helps. Fist bump, man. And I wish you the best of luck as you battle those demons or go through this process in this situation. Wish you the best of luck, praying for you. And, if anyone's out there is watching this that also went through what I discussed tonight and is, and the point where they beat it and it wants to share it, that's what the comment section's for. All right. I know this was a long video and I'm getting tired. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was beneficial to at least some people out there that may watch it. There may be people that come and watch this video and are like, no way, man, this is way too dark. It's not happy. I get it. But life isn't all puppy dogs and rainbows, man. And, this has to be done for certain people out there who need it. And I have plenty of time to do super awesome, positive, happy videos, and I've got plans for those. Those are going to be the vast majority of what I do. But I thought maybe this would be good for somebody out there watching this right now that needed to see it. And that's all I got. So if you enjoyed this, if I seem like a person that you want to subscribe to and, hear from in the future, please click like, please click subscribe, and leave me a comment. I always try to answer them. I'm pretty good at that. And that's about it. So God bless. Love you guys. It's the new year. Maybe this is the time for you to make that decision that I made 7 years ago. And I've been pretty successful.